Sometimes strength is waking up with a heavy heart and still choosing to be kind, even when pain gave you every reason to become cruel. Heartbreak is not just losing a person. Sometimes it is losing the future you imagined, the conversations you waited for, and the love you thought would never fade. You become hard to defeat when pain touches your heart, but your kindness, peace, and humanity still remain alive. Sometimes people think strength is noise. They think strength is the loudest voice in the room, the hardest face, the person who never cries, never bends, never shows pain. But I don't think that's real strength. I think real strength is much quieter than that. It is the person who has been hurt, but still opens the door gently. It is the person who has lost something precious, but still says thank you to life for one more morning. It is the person who could become bitter, but chooses not to poison the world with their pain. It's a kind of strength that no one claps for, no one sees it, no one posts about it. It happens when you sit alone at night and your heart is heavy, but you still decide that tomorrow you will try again. It happens when someone misunderstands you. Instead of proving yourself to everyone, you breathe, step back, and protect your peace. It happens when love leaves, when people change, when life becomes unfair, and you still refuse to become cruel. That kind of strength is silent, but it is not weak. Silence does not mean emptiness. Silence can be full of courage. Sometimes silence means you have learned that not every battle deserves your soul. Sometimes silence means you have grown enough to walk away without hatred. Sometimes silence means your heart is still healing, and you are giving yourself the dignity of not breaking in front of people who would never understand your wounds. Life will test the soft parts of you. It will test your kindness. It will test your patience. It will test your love. There will be moments when you give your best to people and they still walk away. There will be times when you are loyal, honest, and present, but the world does not return the same energy. And in those moments, the easiest thing is to say, I will never care again. The easiest thing is to build a wall so high that nobody can reach you. But healing is not becoming cold. Healing is learning how to stay warm without letting everyone burn you. That is a very difficult thing, to remain kind after betrayal, to remain gentle after loss, to remain humble after pain. It takes more courage than anger. Anger is fast. Anger gives you a moment of power. But patience, forgiveness, self-control, and peace, these things require a deeper kind of bravery. They ask you to stand inside your own storm without becoming the storm. A lot of people carry heartbreak quietly. They go to work, they smile, they answer messages, they help others, and nobody knows that inside they are fighting memories, regrets, and questions that have no answers. Nobody sees how much strength it takes just to continue being decent when your heart feels tired. Nobody sees the discipline it takes to not let pain become your personality. But you know, deep down, you know how hard you have tried. You know the nights you survived. You know the words you swallowed because you did not want to hurt someone back. You know the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. You know the times you chose peace when your ego wanted revenge. That matters. Even when nobody sees it, it matters. There is something beautiful about a person who has been broken and still chooses softness, not weakness, not desperation, not allowing people to use them, but softness with boundaries. A peaceful heart does not mean an open door for disrespect. A kind soul must also learn to protect itself. You can be loving and still say no. You can be gentle and still leave. You can forgive someone and still understand that they no longer belong close to your life. Silent strength is not about pretending everything is fine. It is not about hiding pain forever. It is about moving through pain with grace. It is about feeling deeply and still choosing wisely. It is about not letting one chapter of hurt write the whole story of who you are. When life breaks your heart, it can also open your eyes. You begin to see what is real. You begin to notice who stays, who listens, who respects your silence, who only comes around when they need something. Pain has a strange way of clearing the room. It shows you the difference between attention and love, between words and loyalty, between people who like your light and people who can sit with you in the dark. And when you see that clearly, you become quieter. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you no longer need to explain your soul to everyone. You stop begging to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop chasing love that makes you feel small. You stop trying to prove your worth to those who only noticed you when you were useful. That is growth. It does not always look dramatic. Sometimes growth looks like not replying to the message that would reopen the wound. Sometimes growth looks like sleeping instead of overthinking. Sometimes growth looks like taking a walk, drinking water, breathing slowly, and reminding yourself, I am still here. Sometimes growth looks like choosing yourself quietly, without announcing it to the world. The world can be very loud. It tells you to react, to show off, to win every argument, to make people regret losing you. But real peace does not need performance. You do not have to prove that you are healing. You do not have to show everyone that you are strong. You simply keep becoming strong in the small private ways. You learn to carry your sadness without letting it control your hands. You learn to remember love without losing yourself in the memory. You learn to miss someone and still not go back to what destroyed you. There is dignity in that. There is power in that. There is a quiet kind of victory in waking up with a heavy heart and still choosing not to hate the world. Maybe you were not given the apology you deserved. Maybe you never got the closure you needed. Maybe someone left you with questions and you had to create peace without answers. That is painful. But sometimes closure is not a conversation. Sometimes closure is accepting that your life cannot remain paused for someone who chose to leave. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to feel the weight of what happened. You are allowed to miss the version of life you thought you were going to have. But you are also allowed to rise slowly, not loudly, not perfectly, just honestly. One breath at a time, one day at a time, one small act of self-respect at a time. Strength is not becoming untouchable. Strength is being touched by life, wounded by love, changed by loss, and still keeping a sacred part of yourself alive. It is protecting your heart without closing it forever. It is learning that you can be peaceful and powerful at the same time. You can be quiet and unshakable. You can be kind and still walk away. You can love someone deeply and still choose your own healing when their presence becomes pain. And maybe that is the lesson. Not to become harder, but to become wiser. Not to stop loving, but to love with awareness. Not to hide your heart, but to stop handing it to people who do not know how to hold it. Because your gentleness is not a mistake. Your patience is not foolish. Your kindness is not weakness. These are rare things. These are human things. These are the things that make a soul beautiful, even after life has tried to make it bitter. So keep your calm, keep your dignity, keep your quiet courage. Let people misunderstand the silence if they must. Let them think you have nothing to say. You know the truth. You are not silent because you are empty. You are silent because you are healing, learning, choosing peace. And becoming someone pain could not destroy. I can't write exactly in his personal voice. But here is a calm, humble, reflective version with the same emotional motivation feeling. Love has a strange way of teaching us. Sometimes it arrives like light. It makes ordinary days feel meaningful. It makes the world feel softer. It gives you a reason to smile at nothing, to hope again, to believe that maybe life is not as heavy as it once felt. And when love is real, even for a short time, it leaves something inside you that does not disappear easily. But love can also hurt. It can leave quietly. It can change without warning. It can turn a familiar person into a stranger. And when that happens, the heart does not understand quickly. The heart asks questions the mind cannot answer. Why did they leave? Was I not enough? Did the memories mean the same thing to them? How can something that felt so deep become so distant? Heartbreak is not just losing a person. Sometimes it is losing the future you imagined with them. It is losing the conversations you thought would continue. It is losing the comfort of knowing someone was there. That kind of pain can make you feel empty, like a room where music used to play, and now there is only silence. But even in that silence, something important can begin. Pain can become wisdom if you let it teach you without letting it destroy you. It can show you where you gave too much and received too little. It can show you where you ignored your own needs because you were afraid of losing someone. It can show you the difference between being loved and being used, between being chosen and being kept around, between someone who values your heart and someone who only enjoys your presence when it is convenient. And that lesson hurts. It really does. But it is also a doorway back to yourself. Because sometimes when we love someone deeply, we forget our own value. We start measuring our worth by their attention. We wait for their message. We study their silence. We become smaller just to fit inside a love that is no longer holding us with care. And slowly we lose the quiet dignity of knowing that we are enough, even when someone else cannot see it. Healing begins when you stop chasing what left and start listening to what stayed. Your breath stayed, your heart stayed, your soul stayed. The part of you that still wants to love, still wants to live, still wants to believe in goodness, that part stayed. And that part deserves your attention now. You do not have to hate someone to heal from them. You do not have to erase every memory. You do not have to pretend it never mattered. Some people matter even when they cannot stay. Some love changes us even when it ends. But you must learn that missing someone is not always a sign to return. Sometimes it is just proof that your heart was honest. So be gentle with yourself. Do not punish yourself for loving deeply. Do not call yourself foolish because you trusted. A sincere heart is not a mistake. A loyal soul is not something to be ashamed of. But from now on, let your love include you too. Let your kindness have boundaries. Let your forgiveness have wisdom. Let your heart remain open, but not unprotected. One day the pain will not feel so sharp. The memories will not pull you back the same way. You will wake up and realize that you are not waiting anymore. You are not searching for closure in someone else's silence. You are not asking why you were not chosen. You are choosing yourself quietly, not out of anger, but out of peace. And maybe that is what heartbreak can teach us. That love is beautiful, but self-respect is necessary. It is that losing someone does not mean losing yourself. That the ending of one story can become the beginning of a wiser heart. That even when love leaves, it can leave behind a deeper understanding of who you are, what you deserve, and why your heart should never again beg to be held by hands that were never gentle with it. I can't write exactly in his personal voice. But here is a calm, humble, reflective version with the same emotional motivation feeling. A calm soul is not a soul that has never been hurt. Sometimes the calmest people are the ones who have walked through the loudest storms and decided not to become noise. They have known loss. They have known disappointment. They have known the strange silence that comes after someone leaves, after life changes, after a dream breaks in a way nobody else can fully understand. But somewhere inside that pain, they made a quiet decision. They decided not to let the world turn their heart into stone. They decided not to answer cruelty with cruelty. They decided not to let every wound become a weapon. And that kind of decision may look simple from the outside, but it takes a great amount of strength. The world is very loud. People rush to judge. They rush to react. They rush to prove they are right, to win arguments, to show power, to hide weakness. But real power does not always need to announce itself. Sometimes real power is taking a breath before speaking. Sometimes it is walking away from a conversation that only wants to destroy your peace. Sometimes it is knowing the truth in your heart and not needing everyone else to believe it. A calm soul is hard to defeat because it does not give painful control. It feels pain, yes. It gets tired. It gets lonely. It has moments when the past returns like an old song in an empty room. But it does not surrender its goodness to those moments. It does not say, because I suffered, I must now make others suffer. It says, quietly, I suffered. I understand why kindness matters. That is a rare thing. To stay gentle in a hard world is not weakness. To stay humble when you could become proud is not weakness. To stay grounded when life gives you reasons to fall apart is not weakness. These are signs of someone who has learned that peace is more valuable than pride, that dignity is more powerful than revenge, that silence can sometimes protect the soul better than 1,000 explanations. Not everyone will understand your calm. Some people will think you are weak because you do not fight back the way they expect. Some will think you have no answer because you choose not to argue. Some will mistake your patience for permission, but your calm does not belong to them. Your peace is not for display. It is something you build inside yourself day by day after every heartbreak, every disappointment, every moment you almost gave up but didn't. And you must protect that peace, not with anger but with boundaries. You can be kind and still step away. You can be forgiving and still remember the lesson. You can love people and still refuse to let them bring chaos into your life. A peaceful heart does not mean accepting disrespect. It means knowing when your soul needs distance. Life will continue to test you. It will bring people who do not understand your heart. It will bring days when you feel unseen. It will bring memories that still hurt. But each time you choose patience over bitterness, wisdom over reaction, peace over pride, something inside you becomes stronger. You become less controlled by the noise around you. You stop chasing every approval. You stop explaining your worth to people who only see what they want to see. You begin to move through life with a quiet kind of confidence. Not loud, not perfect, just steady. And maybe that is what true strength looks like. A person who has been hurt but still opens the door gently. A person who is lost but still believes in love. A person who has been disappointed but still chooses honesty. A person who walks through a noisy world with a calm heart, not because life was easy, but because they learned that the soul becomes powerful when it refuses to become what hurt.